Hello everyone! You can work alongside this video that's playing on your sofa, on your TV, in your bed even, but there will be a bit of a physical practice to take part in later on in the video. So this session is going to be heavily focused around the idea of renewal, rebirth, regrowth, transformation. Aries is all about fire. And if we're going to talk about fire, we're going to talk about transformation because it's about the phoenix coming out from the flames. If you just spend any time this month with fire, that'll be really beneficial. It teaches us to be spontaneous, to move where we feel called to go, to not be as set and stuck in our programs and the way we've always done things because of the way fire flickers and just chooses to do its own thing. We can learn a lot about this Aries season just from watching fire. So being around a bonfire or just more candles this month. Essentially also Aries is, the season of red. So it's very passionate and the sexuality side of Aries season is very raw and animalistic. Get a bit more in touch with that, especially if you haven't really had that side of yourself explored for a while. This is really the fire that we need after such a long time of being stagnant. It's how can I actually move and express myself in ways that is awakening my soul again. I love spring. It's for me such an optimistic time. I think if we're talking about astrology and the original calendar, you could say, because actually originally this was New Year. This was the time where we start thinking about where we want to take the rest of the seasons. The sun's coming out, so we're feeling safer to come out and to explore, not so much in that underbelly, in that place of contemplation and in very close proximity to our family and in our home. The sunlight's coming through our home, so we're dusting up a little bit more. We're doing our bit of spring cleaning. In ourselves as humans, we are the same as every other creature on earth. We get charged by that amazing ball of energy that we see more often at this time of year. And I so connect with seeing that things are starting to grow again. We're starting to see color, we're starting to see light, and it just makes me want to also create something as part of that process. In the same way that nature is creating beautiful things, it's starting to blossom and show. What can we start blossoming? What can we start showing? With the element of fire, it's essentially an element fueled by air, but the way elements play with each other, they are so deeply intertwined. In the very same way that's translated in our own system. The fire in us is our heartbeat, how we move, it's our action. Air is how we think, it's how we speak. The words we say, the things we speak as being spells. We're constantly crafting spells. I really believe we are all innately very witchy, connected to the course of what's happening outside our window and nature itself, and how, yes, with us, we've got an ego, we've got a consciousness that disconnects us from that feeling of surrender and letting go as easy as animals do and as plants do, but we have the same functions. Air is perspective. It's the thing that we need to fuel a healthy fire. If it's in directed air, if it's foggy, if it's cloudy, if there's not clarity, if we're in old air all the time, the fire gets smoked out. It doesn't really expand enough. Earth, woods and trees, in amongst that stillness, what can we take from that? Trees actually go into a season in their process where they assess what worked best for them and what kind of strategy helped them grow taller or kept a certain infection from happening to them, and they either produce more of it or they stop doing that technique. But as humans, we know, last time I stepped outside of my comfort zone, this happened and that was incredible, and I wouldn't have got that if I didn't do that. But doing it again the next summer, it's not easy. You have to start from the ground, from the bottom again. Even though there's so much evidence and wisdom in ourselves about our past and what hasn't worked for us, and we innately know the best way to go, the best thing to do to be a stronger, better, successful human being. But we get scared, our ego comes in and says I'm trying to keep you safe here. This is the safer option. You're less likely to die here. So go do that instead. And I think for me, the easiest way to get in touch with leaving that ego at home is connecting to child curiosity. Spring is about remembering we are bringing back in curiosity again. In summer, you want to be full-blown curiosity. You know, all the ego does is like box us into like labels of what we can and can't do, our personality traits that we've always known and other people have always told us. Your mum and dad or your aunties or whatever might have said, oh, she's such a this, she's such a that. All that does is box you in more and more about what you're capable of, what you can try, what you can experiment with. When we start working on our curiosity, which can be really, really small little tiny things that we can do to embrace that back into our life again, the box starts getting bigger and our possibilities start expanding, because it's no longer about what we've always defined ourselves. Nothing of it is definition. In fact, Aries energy is so curious. They are the very first sign of the lot, meaning they are the babies of all the other signs. They're the red-faced, screaming babies who are center stage, who want what they want, need what they need, and they go get it. Like, they cry for it or they just go and get it themselves, and they don't really have a lot of concern for other people. And if we're connecting all of the astrology signs together, remembering that Taurus, that will be more so about planning and organization, because Taurus are a lot better at that than Aries. They will take what Aries learn in that season and actually make it happen into like a masculine craft. But for now, it's just dreaming with the lid completely off. Aries are curious and they question things, as kids do. Ask why. That's why kids are so heavily associated to this season, because they don't want to know things face value. They don't want to be told what to do. They also don't understand why things are the way they are unless they see cold, hard evidence of it. Which is why if you tell a kid what to do, they're probably going to try doing it anyway until they find out for themselves why you said that in the first place. I mean, I noticed this recently. As I'm getting older and I'm like approaching my 30s, I realized life is actually just about realizing all the lessons that my parents told me in the first place anyway. Like, I could have just taken on board everything they said and eaten it all up and said, right, I am wise now, I know what to do. But that wisdom doesn't sit and hit the same with you until you're seeing evidence of it yourself. So in this season, get curious again, to question things again, to not make assumptions about things, and to watch your language when you say anything to do with assuming something's going to happen in a certain way, or assuming something about someone that you've just had a conversation with, or even someone on the TV or someone you're watching on YouTube. Like, when you hit an assumption, ask yourself where that's come from, why you've made that assumption. And it's okay to have them. It is actually a protective mechanism. So it's your body doing what your body is supposed to be doing, but then just sort of toying with it a little bit and being like, is there anything that I can do and ask this person or do in myself to knock that assumption down? So for instance, if talking to someone you think that they're likely like this or they likely have that lifestyle, can you ask anything that actually proves that for you, so you can actually hear evidence of that being the case? Or if it's someone on TV or, you know, on YouTube, maybe ask yourself why you've made that assumption. So if you believe them to be, oh, just like me, they're so much like me, well, what part of their life are you assuming is you? Whatever trait you hit, whatever keyword you hit in doing that, can you experiment doing the opposite of that? So if they're a very like introverted person, for instance, and you're like, I really connect with what, you know, they're probably so much like me. So you've, you know, placed a label there. If you're working with labels at all this month, if you find yourself saying, I am a happy person, or I am an outgoing person, or someone the other day I heard saying like, oh, I'm so brutal all the time. Whenever we take something we can experience temporarily and put it within our like being as a whole, we're boxing ourselves in again. We're doing that thing again when we're like closing ourselves away from anything that has any kind of attachment to the opposite of what we've claimed ourselves to be. Try changing language about you being something instead of it just being in your head today. Testing all of those beliefs you've always had about yourself. And you can start from wherever you want. I think when you claim yourself to be something rather than just experiencing something, we close off our manifestation powers. You know, when an opportunity lands in our email or through a friend's mouth because they tell us something that's going on locally, we're not as open, we're not as receptible. We in our head search for little ways to kind of find an excuse not to. If it doesn't tick all of our boxes of who we are as a human being, if that doesn't match exactly what this opportunity is, we say no. Curiosity is basically confidence, really. I think the word confidence is very charged, so I don't use it very much, but it's essentially just the willingness to try. I am human. Things might not be perfect in this experience I'm gonna try, but we can tiptoe and just see what happens. People who generally don't find Aries energy very second nature, it's probably because they claim themselves to be anxious people. It's okay if you have 300 consecutive days where you feel anxious somewhere in that day, but I really believe calling yourself an anxious person, I am anxious, I think embodying a word like that is really damaging. You can have 300 consecutive days of anxiety, but that to me doesn't feel like enough to embody it as like a part of your being, a part of your person. Like innately we are none of the things that we end up as an adult, and so it gives us a bit of an opportunity rather than cutting off any inkling of growth and separation from that thing. Depression tends to be back, anxiety tends to be forward. This is why I prefer curiosity over confidence, because curiosity is just kind of seeing the initial step forward rather than anxious mindsets go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right, what am I going to do when I'm there? Sometimes people even think, what am I going to do when I succeed, if I succeed? A lot of people don't realize that they can't manifest very powerfully because they're thinking of the things that will happen if they make it, and that is just as scary as trying, when really we just want to put our feelers out a bit and see how we feel, and if it wants to prove anything to us once we're there. Oh, this isn't as bad, the people here aren't as bad, this environment isn't as scary as I thought. So this month is about just seeing different areas in your life that you can be a bit more open about. That might be someone who in your family or friendship group or in your local area that you've always like shunned off or assumed is going to be annoying or like you don't want to talk to, and writing things down that maybe proved you wrong. You could write a keyword that you use to describe this person, opportunity, or this event, this social event or this activity that you thought you were going to feel about it, and then how you actually felt. Sometimes you'll prove yourself right. Sometimes you'll be like, exactly what I thought was going to happen happened, and that's fine. But there will be enough things that did surprise you to make you second think things coming up into summer. When opportunities start rearing their head, you can remember those things that proved you wrong, and it's going to give you fuel. Air fuels fire, as I mentioned, and if you're always going to be having old air about your head, old beliefs, old traits about yourself you've always associated yourself to, no fresh perspective, no fresh opportunities. Aries is about the new, it's the beginning. If we're always working with old energy, acting, which is fire, on old beliefs all the time, not only we're going to have old actions, we're always going to do what we've always done, we'll always get what we've always got, it's not going to be inspired action. So it's going to be very limited. You know, the fire's not going to be very big, and also it's going to be smoky and not a lot of clarity there. So how can we experiment with new beliefs today? A good little tip around that could be, in the past, I've got people to get just a bit of paper, writing their names in the middle, surrounding the name with lots of different labels about yourself, and just choosing one a week to like experiment with. So Ellie could be, I used to associate myself as an antisocial person, but if I took that word, what can I do this week that contradicts it? Just for fun. And it could just be like phoning my sister up, really small things, maybe texting more people that week. That's great. You're experimenting with your own comfort zone. For someone else it might be a bit bigger than that, so like ringing up a friend and going to a cafe. One thing I did once for a week was I forced myself to talk to a stranger every day of the week. By Friday I felt more trust in myself and it felt really good. So if you're sitting comfortably, which I hope you are, and you've got some space and you've got some quiet, cross your legs or have your feet touching the floor. The one thing I do ask is to have your palms open to your side, as this symbolically and like mentally demonstrates openness. Preparing, this season's about preparing for something to arrive. We want to be emulating an open response to that. Somebody had said to me, how can we expect to have something delivered to us if we're not home? You know, you expect a package you've ordered to arrive to your house, but if we're not home, how can we receive that? In the same way as when we call upon the universe to have these amazing things in our lives, but 9 out of 10 of us aren't authentically home in our true, weird, crazy, silly side of ourselves, and so it doesn't land. We're not aligned with what's actually like coming forward to find us. And that's why we've got to really embrace like the weird and wonderful parts that make us who we are. That this guided meditation is going to be about remembering that nothing we want is going to be incorrect. The weirder the better. If we feel like my dream feels really crazy, it feels really out there, it wouldn't have landed. You know, that air element again is not going to find you if you weren't there to receive it, which is why, you know, witches' hats are pointed. It's like the channel which is brought about to be taken in by something that can create it into a fire. And water is about, you know, release. This is why we cry tears. It's like releasing a truth that we thought we believed, and it's letting that go and it's letting it out. And sometimes that's a very key part of the process when it comes to new ideas and new beliefs, because we've got to let something go. Water is a healing element for sure. I mean, if at any time of this practice you feel like you want to have a good old cry or good old scream, you want to punch your pillow, please do. So I want you to just close your eyes. Just start connecting to your breathing. You don't have to control it at this time, just your natural state of breathing. You can focus on your stomach rising and falling, or you can feel the chest, your lungs expanding. But as you're sitting here in the room around you, energetically, what I'm going to do is create a ball of crystal clear air. This air that I'm transmitting around you to be whirling and dancing around the room. For you, it may be yellow, maybe it's bright white, multicolors, but this energy represents the fresh new perspectives of Aries season. It's the dance of fresh opportunities, new beginnings, and whisperings of something stirring, something about to begin. So for your next breath, I want you to visualize through your nose taking a deep breath of this air around you. And as you come out of your breath through your mouth, visualizing all of that old, presumptuous, assuming energy that lacks curiosity to leave your body. And for your next breath through your nose, breathing in more of that white clarity, light, that fresh perspective, those new ideas. Bonus points if you're doing this by a window. And take that out of the mouth again, visualizing all of that old, stagnant, dusty, wintry energy leaving your body because it no longer needs you. And with the next breath, taking in all of that crystal clarity again for 4, really getting to the bottom of your belly, letting all of that dust, of that old, of that stagnant out and away. And continue doing this. This is a great practice to do whenever you need it, when you're outside on a windy day or by an open window. And now doing your final deep breath in and long breath out. The majority of that fresh magical air around you has been consumed. You're feeling good, you're feeling bright. That light has almost entered different areas of your body. It's forming in different places. And as you're sitting in this stillness, you're taking more normal, natural breaths to you now. But with every breath, a single cord, either from your spine, or perhaps you are more familiar with roots from the bottom of your feet, or the base of your legs. They're beginning to grow and connecting you to the ground beneath you. As it's working its way through the earth, we want to remember everything we learn from earth, the stillness, the resilience through not doing at all. The woods and the trees are still growing in the silence, in the peace that the woods and the trees bring, regardless of the little action it may seem from the surface. And how even in ourselves we can connect to that earthly wisdom through our bodies, through rest, through slumber, through sitting peacefully as you are now, and connecting to wisdom to take forward into the future when activating fire. As your roots continue to grow, they're going to hit the center of earth. Now, this is a very dense, hot part of the world. Your roots, your cord is going to connect with its heat, and how this heat is also innately within you, in your heartbeat, in your actions. The fact you've shown up to this workshop today was a fire energy move. So just reflecting on the ways that you connect with fire in your life, how you show up in the room, what energy you have for certain things in your life, and how that fire will continue to light the way for other people, support friends, provide for the family, and of course provide for yourself. As you're connecting to these actions and how they show up in your life, which one feels like inspired action and which ones feel more autopilot, just because we feel like we have to, or just because someone told us to, or just because we always have? As we're connecting to this fire element, take this time to ask the fire, how can I show up differently this month? What can I do that's different to what I've done before? How can my action be more inspired? Next, I want you to ask the fire, where do I need more curiosity in my life? Where do I need more curiosity in my life? If nothing comes through, that's fine. We are still asking, we are still inviting, so it may come about later in your day or in your week. But For now, just noticing any colors, textures, keywords, just connecting with that for now. And now with your cord or your roots still attached to this force of nature, this wild force of fiery nature in the core of the earth, I want you to visualize that fire, that heat, finding its way back up your roots, back up your cord as liquid gold. It shoots its way through that cord, finding its way gradually through the rock, then through the earth, gaining all the insight and wisdom that earth and stillness can also bring fire. For without that very particular form of element, fire would cease to exist. We need dry earth elements to keep fire lit, to keep our cups full. We all need to recharge. We can't constantly be on. We can't constantly be using our fire. We can't pour from an empty cup. It finds its way back to your body, back to your legs or your feet, wherever the cord began. It could have been the bottom of your spine. It finds its way back to your body, sitting on your floor, in your bedroom or in your living room or outside. It's found you again. In your mind could be yellow or white or orange or red, the color of Aries. This liquid gold that has been alchemized into a watery, juicy substance, from fire to liquid, the element of healing. Will begin to fill its way up your body, starting from the feet. You can feel the texture, the color, the vibration of the element moving its way up to your calves, around your knees, up to your thighs, around your hips, up to your stomach, around your chest, shoulders, moving down to your forearms, wrists, hands, fingertips, shooting back up to the shoulders, reaching your neck, face, top of your head. In this space here, you've reached your most receptive energy. This is the closest you will reach to the true essence of who you are. Without programs, without beliefs, this is the core essence of you. Innately who you are, who you be. And so in this receptive energy, I want you to ask your guides, spirit animals, intuition, whatever practice you feel close to, whoever supports you spiritually, I want you to ask them to step forward and meet you in this position. Between yourself and this being, maybe there's several beings, but they appear as forming their own entity, their own aura together. There's a single cord, there's a almost invisible but earthly cord between the two of you that connects you together, almost like a ray of light. It's equally tangible and not tangible in the same breath, but it's a light that connects you two together. As this light is forming in your mind's eye, another light begins to form to your left. This light gradually grows further away from you until it connects to another entity, another ball, another aura of presence that is here with you today. Within this ball, as you look, you realize within the ball, within the aura, within the light, is younger you, is little you. You seem to be around 6 or 7. Whatever form younger you wants to come through, they've come through. They are protected in this ball, but they can see you. And you begin to notice there is also a cord of light connecting child you to your spirit guide, to your intuition energy, to the divine presence opposite you. You are forming a triangle between yourselves. This beautiful triangle is connecting you consciously. Your thoughts are their thoughts are your thoughts. And together, in this session, we will be connecting to the true essence of you. The essence that you know deeply. No one else, just yourself. The core essence of you. While we're in this very important meeting, this very rare and unique meeting, the three of you, in which is also essentially just one, I want you to have an open discussion between yourselves regarding the following couple of questions. The first one being, what is it we need to be doing to know we are living a full life? For us to feel alive. What kind of life should we be leading to fully feel alive? For our life to fully feel full, what kind of life should we be leading? What does it look like? Now I want you to take that vision, that insight, those thoughts, those words, and amplify them a little stronger. Just a little harder. I want you to fixate on a lifestyle, on a way of living that emulates true, honest, fiery passion. What kind of life is the truest expression of authentic you? To a core, what is important to live a full life for you? And as you connect with that thought and play with those mental images, younger you to your left and the divine spirit in front to your right is beaming. The joy, the acceptance is radiating from them as you allow these mental images of excitement and passion towards your dreams and your enthusiasm comes to life again. It may have been a while since you've explored this side of yourself. It may have been a while since you asked yourself, what is it that actually makes me feel alive? What does my life need more of? I want you to take it even further than you thought you could take it. Visualize a lid ripping itself off of a jar, of a pot. The pot, the jar, visualizing all your limits, all the limitations that your life has given you since that young child on the left has ever existed. And I want you just to eradicate it from your vision entirely. Take that lid off and let the dreams burst, seep out. How far can you stretch? How far can you go when visualizing your dreams? When exploring possibilities? Can you take it to fantasy level? Aries is about the fairy tale. It's about doing and then worrying later. Visualize the most idyllic, perfect scenario of a lifestyle for you in this moment. How does it look? What does it feel like? How does it feel in your stomach? Tingly? Excitable? Do you have butterflies? Do you feel relaxed in your back, in your nervous system? And now in this part of the process, you may hit some resistance, but that's totally okay because we're going to work through that too. This lifestyle you've connected to for a reason. It's in the air above your head. You've breathed it in, you've felt the feelings, and the fire is ready to be lit. It's ready to be alchemized. And so, what actions can you start taking which begins to honor that flame becoming a full forest fire? If it's a word, a belief, a trait, an action that you don't do regularly, that you don't resonate with very strongly, that's fine. It's an action that you know is important for this lifestyle. If your body feels inclined to lean forward into it. Hold the action close to your heart and feel it radiating within the heart chakra center. As it's radiating there, you can feel the action word, the vibration, the feeling running down your left arm into your left palm. For those of you who didn't feel inclined, who couldn't truly let that action in for any obstacles, any walls, some kind of blockage that you found yourself up against, can you lean into that instead, into the resistance? If it's anxiety, and anxiety makes your throat close up, your palms clam, your breath go shallow. Perhaps it's the darkness of depression in your life that you find really stops you from embodying action that brings you towards your best self, your best life. Can you move into those sensations that usually brings you? And just meeting it in this space right now, in this open, raw, receptive space. And really channeling all of your consciousness towards that vibration, that sensation that's meeting you today. And sitting with some compassion in how this sensation was learnt. It's a developed coping mechanism, a way of living that you learnt from someone else, you saw someone else do. A learnt behavior. It could be a protective mechanism because your body's been through enough. Does it know why it's here? Does it know why it shows up? Do you know why it's here and why it shows up? And as you're connecting to this very raw answer, remembering child you and divine you are here to honor it and respect it, but finding all the compassion, all the love and respect for doing its job. Bringing it closer to you and allowing it in. What does it need? What action does it need from you? Perhaps all it needs is silence. It just needed your recognition. It just needed to be let in and appreciated, and therefore let go. How can it allow you to explore your curiosity? How can it help you connect to that child spirit? What does it need from you? What does it need from your child? And what does it need from divine spirit? And how can you connect those together to honor it, to support it, to make it feel safe and smaller, and to allow it to give you room to move and explore authentically? Again, bringing that close to your heart center, your heart chakra, allowing it to settle in, gradually moving its way down your left arm, onto your palm, and in your hand. Now the bright light around you is getting stronger. The clarity, clear, mystical, magical air you've been surrounding yourself in is getting more and more vibrant, brighter and brighter. The visuals of yourself and divine spirit is beginning to whisk away until all you see is bright white light. As the light increases, you see yourself standing at the beach. You're walking along the sand by the coast. It's still very, very bright. It's a beautiful beach, pristine waters, clean sand, turquoise sky. As you walk, you can take in the fresh, clear air of inspiration, new insight, new perspective, and expansive possibilities and beliefs. Breathing in and letting go through the mouth of old limiting habits, assumptions, and patterns that were useful but no longer helpful. We don't need them anymore. Another deep breath in. As you continue with your deep breaths, you're walking along the shore still, and a vision of someone walking towards you becomes more and more visible. You're meeting future you. They are open and fiery and fun. There's so much love within them, and you haven't even spoken to them yet. You can feel it radiating off of them. What are they wearing? How do they hold themselves? How do they greet their friends? How do they enter a room? What kind of stories do people say about this person? What lasting impression do they give off to people that they meet? You begin to notice that there's still something in your left hand. Opening it, you realize all the sensation, the energy, the texture, the vibration of that action word, that dedication, that fire is still there. It's formed a stone or a pearl, perhaps a shell, in your hand. Take note of any shape, colors, before crouching down in front of your future image and begin burying with your hands a small hole before placing this stone, this seed, this intention, this commitment within it. They are aware deeply of all that's necessary to let go. They are aware of the difference of what they hold and what you are yet to hold. They are allowing wiggle room. They are releasing and giving you space to do so. With your hands now, placing the sand back into the hole, to bury your seed, and so it is. You can sigh, make noises that resonate with all that muddy, gross, sticky energy that's not useful, that's not clear, it's opaque and thick and black. Let that out, give it a shake if you have to, and release. Another run in when you're ready, and whatever feels right. Knowing you're always supported by future you, child you, and divine you in a beautiful union. Wiggling your fingers, you can open your eyes when you're ready, but rolling your head maybe around, waking up your shoulders a little bit, relaxing your jaw. And there's going to be a lot that maybe came to light. I want you to write down anything that was significant to you, any textures that was reoccurring, any thoughts, visions, insights, words, conversations that you had with these little meetups. I love journaling everything that I ever come across in meditation. Some deep wisdom comes through in meditation if you get good at it. So even if it's a small stepping stone, great. You've got one single keyword that is significant enough to mean something for that session, to be useful at this time. About your ideal life. What was that lifestyle you were connecting to so strongly? What key parts really came out? If you need a little bit more time than I'm giving you, please pause this video. Your own insight is going to be way more valuable than me speaking right now, so go as long as you like. A little activity I'd like you to do is to section off each main life aspects to you, so friends, family, love, career, and just in each segment writing one word that describes that in the most idyllic form. So love could be passion, open-heartedness, companionship, adventure. What is one keyword to describe the most divine version of that segment? Career could be respect, authority, power. Maybe finance is freedom, relax, magnetic. In each of these segments that you're starting to journal, meet this fire energy that we've been connecting with during the session, that child side of you that would be curious on each of these segments. You know, as an adult, we've created evidence that backs why we can't get that lifestyle, we can't get that thing we want. Programming, picking up habits of friends and family and the world as a society as a whole. We want to catch ourselves when we feel ourselves connecting to a language, a way of being that is restricted, that is not fueled with belief and optimism, but instead scarcity and that scratchy neediness of like, I need to be more, I need to have more, I don't have enough. Connecting instead with that more expansive, wider part of yourself, channeling into that fire energy, into that willingness to walk and step forward. How can you show each one of those keywords a bit of curiosity? How can you meet each one of those idyllic lifestyles with a bit of curiosity, a bit of willingness? Willingness is a form of abundance. Again, it's expansion. When there's willingness, there's a way. We've heard that before. This frequency is a willingness to catch and articulate the vision. In other words, we shouldn't ask if we can't receive. You know, if we're not home to receive it, if we don't have the space in our spare room for a king-size bed, why are we asking for a king-sized future? If we don't have the space in our psyche, you know, in our willingness, in our optimism to have it land. Willingness is allowing us to be on our edge to become what's necessary to manifest. You can't manifest and you can't be willing in the center. You've got to be on the edge, even if it's just by a fraction. Connecting to child spirit will help you get there, because they are so good at pushing the boundaries. If any of you have kids, how many times do they see what they can get away with, see what they can get away with a little bit more, see what they can get away until they've completely created a whole new narrative of what's allowed in the house and what isn't. Kids are so good at doing that. How can we experiment with that in ourselves, in our own lives? Like, how can my body do something that tests the brain to the point where it says, okay, maybe you can get away with that. Oh, maybe you can get away. Okay, next minute we've got a much wider comfort bubble, so we're more expansive, we've got more to play with, we've got more wiggle room, we can allow more things in. We don't shun them away before they've actually seen if there's a space for them to sit. Because once we can embrace what we already have, what we can make use of, our resources as a wild, unique, crazy little human with all these different superpowers that we might say is weird and stupid, like the weirder parts of ourselves is the parts we were divinely sent here to do, to embrace, to show off, because they are very specific traits. You're a very specific human. No one is ever going to speak the same words. No one ever is going to be able to bring the exact same energy that you walk into a room to bring. And that's on all of your life experience. That's on all of your mistakes, all of the successes, all of the failures. Those very unique occurrences will never happen again in a single human. And if you can't bring them to a table as an offering to the world to show what it is that you're uniquely, divinely here to do, it's never going to exist on the planet. You're the only reason it can exist on the planet. The fact we're here individually anyway is a very unique thing. Like, that's never going to happen again. The fact that we even made it here is me and you. So what are we here to do? You know, the original definition of the word weird is destiny. So what we're here to do is to let out that weird, to show that very unique set of qualities that we've got, even if they're different to other people, especially if they're different to other people, because anyone who tells you what you should be doing is actually telling you what you shouldn't be doing, because it needs to come from with you, for sure, within you. That's going to be something within you in which doesn't exist in your parents, which doesn't exist, it has nothing to do with society. We are essentially cleaning the windshield of our life so we have clarity. You're not staying still when we stay the same. We're actually moving backwards because the universe has moved forwards. And so when we create things like vision boards, like that little thing you've just wrote down on your journal, that essentially is like a North Star, so you keep up with the universe in a way. Not keep up as in scarce and like holding on to something in desperation, but keep in momentum, moving with the flow. So you are anchored with a progressive step, like a progressive stage, to know that you're actually growing and evolving rather than just like always moving from the belief systems of stuff that you learned about yourself 10 years ago, but momentarily also co-creating with what's happening around you, how signs and symbols are affecting you. So on this process of you know, expanding yourself in maybe finance, maybe your word is freedom, relaxation, that's how you want to feel about your money. And so to evolve and to move with the universe, how can you radiate on that same vibration? How can you channel freedom already in the place that you are now, using what we already have, as I mentioned, while still in the reality that exists right now where you might not feel naturally connected. So in turn, you can operate with the way the universe is showing you opportunities and things that are presenting itself on your pathway from a new perspective. Because even if the same opportunity comes around and again and again and again, the next time we hit it, it's not the same opportunity actually, because we're hitting it with a new set of wisdom, an evolved version of ourselves, a different vibrational state, which makes the opportunity blossom differently to how it would have with your previous energy, with your previous vibration. How do you know innately, without the TV or social media or family telling you what it is that you need? What do I need to feel good? How do I stop connecting to other people's definitions of what success is or what good is, and instead my very unique definition of it, so I can use it as a North Star and focus on that? And those action points that you've put underneath, you know, your idyllic lifestyle, how can you meet each of those with curiosity? And what we're going to do now is a little bit of a shamanic activity. And if you're not really someone who's done a lot of embodiment work, then great, that's a good thing. We're working with comfort zones this month, so this will be a good way for you to get outside yours a little. So we're just gonna finish the session by getting on our feet, and we're gonna connect to the element of fire. Shake it out a little bit. We've been sitting down for a bit now, so just do what you gotta do with your body. Maybe do some stretches of the legs, because this particular embodiment will affect your legs tomorrow. If you're not someone who works out a lot or does like lunges, it's kind of like an invitation. It's an invitation. I think Aries energy is the start of a story, so there's lots of like possibilities with it. And so Aries energy is associated to open arm action. So just doing this is a really good way generally to kickstart neurons in your brain, being open to receive, but also like happy hormones. Like to be in a receptive, like curious energy, we've got to feel optimistic and like something good's gonna happen. So starting your day with like, yes, something amazing is gonna happen, I just know it, is a really good way to embody Aries energy. It's like success, victory. Aries is about like competitive nature. It's like, I'm gonna win. Connect it to some breath work. So from starting here, we want to go for our nose down like this, and then so this is the I'm going to be talking while doing this because I need to, but this is the element of fire, right? So this is a full body action to demonstrate our resilience as well. So we want to keep on doing this as much as we can. And when we kind of reach a wall, like a ceiling, we want to just push a little bit further beyond that boundary, because again, fire is about pushing a little bit harder and longer than we're used to, but also that stepping through what we thought was a limitation to us. So as we're doing this, I want you to connect to feelings, what sensations of fire it brings up within you. So you might feel yourself getting warm, getting hotter. You might even start hearing your heartbeat in your head. And I want you to keep on doing this for as long as you can. We're not going to go much longer. And just when your muscles are starting to ache, I want you to really try and push through as much as you can. Test the limit, test that edge we were speaking about earlier, as much as you can to just pull a little bit further than you can. When you think you want to give up, just really think about those actions, steps that help you through a portal. And through that portal is future you, is that idealized you. And these actions are little steps that is going to help prove to your body that it's safe to be different, that it's safe to try different and to push through regardless of what wants to come up, what obstacles, what blockages want to meet you in that resistance space. So now we're going to stop here. Well done. You've pushed through a limit for sure. I know you have, because I've been counting down the minutes. So what we want to do is just come down, and I just want you to put your hand on your heart. And as you're doing so, you're going to feel your heartbeat pushing against your hand. This is your fire. This is your personal, individualized spark. This is your flame. This is the action, the fire that you're going to take with you in your day-to-day to help honor the more empowered, idealistic lifestyle of yours. This is your individualized light of expression. These hormones running through your body right now, the neurons firing off in your brain, are there to support you when and if you need them moving forward this month. Channeling that heartbeat, that fire when you get hot, and thank it. Find compassion for it. Find gratitude for it. That zest, that life, that force. I want you to ask it to meet one of the actions on your journaled vision board, and ask it to enter the essence of what that action is asking for. Today, meeting that action word, committing to the action word somewhere in your day today. If it's late at night for you, tomorrow being the day you step into one of those actions, how can you embody that lifestyle in one of your segments, in other words? You know, what makes you so different to your friends and family? What do you like doing that you never see them do? And can you show it a bit harder this month? Can you enter a room like with a bit more vitality and like authenticity? What does that mean to you? That's going to be different to everybody. Like, someone might think, oh, well, my boundaries, I've got to be bloody naked in front of my friends. I'm going to try that one this week. Whereas to other people, well, I just want to speak about emotional things. Good luck. And my kind of final piece for you is to really remember this commitment that you've made with yourself today. And you can meet that action with your fire again today or maybe tomorrow. One small step that edges you towards that embodied lifestyle. I think when we enter curiosity back into our lives from a whole adulthood of very kind of controlled, right time, right place sort of curiosity, like, you know, the kinds of child-minded people who can bring play everywhere, they're the child who survived. You know, we instead say, you know, not now, as our parents told us, and we then do it to ourselves when we want to add a bit of ourselves and a bit of fun and a bit of like curiosity into a room. And actually, it's always a choice, like to choose to be not so judgmental or like to assume something is a choice at all times about ourselves or about other people, about our life, and how to wake up and ask ourselves what it is that we can do today. One of my biggest spiritual awakenings came from the very fact that I learn every day I can re-meet myself. Seeing yourself as a kid again, and kids don't have evidence from the past to tell them what they can and can't do. They have to learn for themselves what they're good at, what their hobbies are, what they're interested in, what their natural talents are. We don't have to live in a world as an adult where we're still living by the rules that our child us set many years ago. Who are you today? What talents do we have today? What can we try today? And again, one of my biggest awakenings came from, I told myself, when anyone asks me if I want to try something or if I'm good at something, do I want to go to this thing? I told them, I'm not sure. I haven't tried it yet today. Really surprising myself about what I could do. 2 months later, I was up in the treetops doing Go Ape, which is something which I never thought I could do. I'm feeling anxious about it now, but I literally hadn't tried it before, but my brain was like going back to areas in my life where I got close to it, so therefore I was crap at that, can't do this. I was curious about how I was going to feel on the first tree. I was curious about how I was going to feel once I completed the first course. I was curious about how I was going to feel at the end when I go down on the zip wire and that feeling of accomplishment. How was that going to feel? I wouldn't have known how any of those stages felt. Fire is there to support you. Aries season is there here to support you. Spring is here to support you. Look how the world is evolving and blossoming in its own unique way. They all do something so differently in spring. Every flower, every insect, every animal, every plant, but it's that bud to this that spring's all about. We've got to stretch ourselves out of what we've been in for so long and expressing that differently. So even the same bunch of roses are going to bud at different times and do it in different ways and have different curls and different shapes and patterns and colors and textures. From this to that takes a massive amount of action. This is more action than what summer is about, which is the blossom, the showing, the life, the vibrancy, and taking that all in and being like, yes, look how amazing my life is now because of the action I took in spring, which is the biggest movement. It's the stretch. Again, it's that arm here. Small incremental steps. I promise you'll get so far. And remember, it's spring, so it's about gradually getting there. You don't have to go nuts. If you've got any questions about anything in this process, I'm here to help. About blockages, weird insights, sensations, things that you couldn't do, things that you didn't understand or you want more information on. Comments, please. I'm here to talk. Loads of love. You've got this.